Delighted to be joined by trainer Dominic Ingle here in Sheffield. Dominic, how are you?
It's good. It's a cold, rainy day in Sheffield. You know, it's dark in the mornings when we get up, and it's dark at the night when we're going to the gym. So, you know, it's one of them days, but we're glad to be here.
I understand you're soon to travel out to Canada to get yourself accustomed to the weather and the time change and get yourself settled in as a team and for Billy Joe.
Yeah, we've got a guy out there, Adam Harris. Dealt with him over the years. We're going to set up camp in Montreal. Sorry, not Montreal, in Toronto actually. Away from it all, which is about an hour's flight away from Montreal. Going to be out there for 2 weeks training, getting some sparring. We've got some sparring arranged, and then we're going to fly into Montreal the week of the fight. So yeah, it's all under control. We're flying out next week, so all's good.
Obviously, straight off the back of Billy Joe's win over Willie Monroe Jr. At the Copper Box in September, this is your second fight with him now. So how is the relationship with you and Billy Joe? Obviously, people keep saying that this is a good move for Billy Joe to get himself away from his home life back down south and kind of situate himself out here in Sheffield. But how's it been going with Billy Joe?
Listen, the main thing is he gets on with everybody in the gym. He's a respectful kid when you train him, does as he's told, never questions anything. You know, the first camp was more of a get-to-know-you kind of thing. You know, he did everything correctly. He boxed his fight and he won. That was the main thing. He had 1 week off and he was straight back into camp. So, you know, he's a clever boxer. It's enjoyable working with him because he knows how to fight. We just, you know, tightening up his diet, getting the weight training in. We've took him up to Sheffield Hallam University a few times to get an assessment on him where he is with his fitness. Certain things we've got to have in place there. He's been running, you know, in an oxygen tent or an altitude tent, as they say. So it's increasing his fitness. We've had some testing today. He's in a very good place 4 weeks before the fight. He's super fit. His body's working well. He's dropped body fat. He's gained muscle. So all the things you want to do is coming into play. And he can only be getting that if he's doing it right. So, you know, Lemieux's in for a bit of a shock on the 16th when Billy rolls up into Canada to fight him.
Obviously, it's the first time Billy Joe Saunders will be fighting out in America. Talking to him today, he says he needs to put on a performance where there's not going to be any controversy. It's not going to be kind of left in the judge's hands. Do you believe that that's what he needs to do out there? Yeah,
you know, I've emphasised to Bill that, you know, he could be winning 2.5 minutes of every round. But if Lemieux hits him with 1 or 2 punches at the end, he'll give him the round. I said, you can't leave any mistakes. I said, you've got to, you know, comprehensively beat him. I'm not looking you to knock him out, you know, that could come, but you've got to outbox him every single round. And Lemieux can be outboxed, but he's no slouch. He can punch, he can box. But he's shown on his record he's been beaten 3 times before, so there is a way to beat him. And for me, you know, Billy's the hardest type of fighter to beat. He's a southpaw. Not only is he a southpaw, he's a very tricky southpaw. And that's going to be, you know, all in his favour. So we've got a hard task ahead of us. But if you're going to be a champion of the world, you've got to be able to, you know, fight in any country of the world. Bill's, as an amateur, has been all over the place boxing, so he's used to the travel. You know, we just don't want a hometown decision, and I don't think Bill's going to give any chances to the officials on the night for that to happen. How highly do you rate David Lemieux as a fighter, Dominic? Hey, listen, he's one of those guys. If you don't know how to control a puncher like that, you're going to come unstuck, and it's a case of not letting him, you know, do what he wants to do. He is quite one-dimensional in the fight that he's, you know, people look at him and think, oh, he's a puncher, but he can box. But for me, he's a better puncher than he is a boxer. But those are the hardest fighters to keep off. If he's fit and he keeps coming forward, eventually it's not as if he's not going to catch Bill with some shots. He will do. It's impossible for him not to hit Bill. But, you know, hopefully Bill will be riding those shots, avoiding a lot of those shots, and he'll be picking him to bits in between. And then, you know, it's even possible Bill could stop him later on. Obviously not overlooking the 16th because this is a huge fight with Lemieux, but around the corner there are still these huge fights that Billy Joe wants, even bigger rather, with the likes of Canelo and Golovkin, who look to rematch next year. But yeah, it's all to come in 2018 as well. I've always said that, you know, Golovkin's a tremendous fighter. We had Kell Brook up against him. And if he wants to finish his career as one of the known fighters of the decade, you know, I know he's unified champion, but he still wants that WBO belt. Bernard Hopkins had every belt as a middleweight champion. I think I'm right in saying that. And, you know, if you're going to go down the record books, you've got to have all the belts. He's got the money. You know, he's had some great fights, Golovkin's. But if I was him, I'd be wanting to, you know, pick up the last remaining belt, the WBO. And, you know, I'd be looking at, from his point of view, thinking, well, that's an easy enough fight with Billy Joe Saunders. But, you know, Billy Joe Saunders looks easy to beat until you get in the ring and try and hit him. And he's a very tricky fighter and difficult to hit when he's fit. I mean, he was difficult to hit when he wasn't fit. That was an example of when he boxed Chris Eubank Jr. And he wasn't even 60% fit then. But now, you know, he's got his mind together, he's got his discipline together. He knows he's only got a few years left in the game, and he needs to make it easy for himself, not hard. And that's what he's done in the past. He's made it very, very difficult for himself, and still come through it. So, you know, train hard in the gym, do all the hard graft in the gym, kill yourself in the gym, and make the fighting easy. And that's what he's got in his mind at this moment in time.
Have we seen, in your opinion, the best of Billy Joe Saunders? Are we yet to see his actual peak?
I think this could be the fight what has to bring it out in him, because, you know, Lemieux's dangerous, and when you know you're going in with a puncher, you've got to be on your toes. Because one slip, you could be, you know, outboxing somebody for 10, 11 rounds, and then in the last round get caught with a shot and it's all over. So you can't afford to lose focus. So Billy's going to have to be switched on for this fight, and he's going to have to bring the best out of himself. You know, we're preparing him correctly. He's going to be fit, he's going to be strong, he's going to be on the weight. But then it's Billy's boxing brain kicking in, you know, on fight night.
All right, well, listen, Dominic, it's very windy here. I think the wind has actually just turned, so thank you very much for talking to the Cassius and Helder show, and listen, best of luck in the rest of the camp, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you in Canada.
No problem.